ATV-TALK, the podcast. Sit down with your host industry professional, Leonard Duncan, as the men and women from the ATV world bring their behind-the-scenes stories to life. Every Tuesday at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And remember, dream big. It could be your story one day.
Chad Wienen, welcome to ATV-TALK. How are you, brother?
Oh, Leonard, I'm good. Emmett, great to see you. How you been doing?
I'm doing great, We wish we could have got out to Loretta's. Unfortunately, it just didn't work out for us. We tried.
Yeah. It wasn't like a scorcher, so it would have been a good year to try and make it and not be, sweating the whole time and taking in a lot of heat. But man, it was a good time. It's a fun weekend. Weather was perfect, and we enjoyed it.
There was rain before, but nothing during.
No, it was a clear weekend, the whole weekend, and usually down there you at least get one day where it just dumps. But we managed to be okay and not get any of that.
That just broke the record, didn't it?
Yeah, I would say.
The years that I got to go, we never had a dry day.
Yeah.
I mean, you'd get rain both days, or the Friday of setup and everything would just freaking drench you, and
yeah, it's usually like doggy down there and hot. After it rains, it just gets hot.
Yeah, exactly. You're already hot and sweaty. It rains, you cool off for about 30 minutes, and then you're like, "Oh, really? It's coming back."
Oh yeah.
How was the new setup? I mean, you hadn't been down there since they rebuilt it, had you?
No, it honestly looked like it never changed. Honestly, they put it back to the original, feel and look and everything. And the track wise, like, it didn't seem like anything ever happened. They did a great job getting it back.
That's excellent. I know that the ATV industry may not have put in enough support for that, but the motorcycle people sure did put a lot of effort into it.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely did. Like, you noticed, the main thing I noticed was like a lot of like that river rock kind of like mixed in with the dirt, and you see more of that than in years past. And that's honestly the only difference I've seen, other than just, having rock around the whole property. There was more of it that got washed into the pit area and all that. So, and that doesn't hurt. So it made it, maybe a little bit better in certain areas. And then on the track, I think it'll take them a couple of years to sift through the dirt and get like a lot of that smaller rock out of there. But they did a great job getting it back.
That's awesome that they kept the facility, or got the facility back in shape and made it really good. Weren't the motorcycles there the weekend before, or a couple?
Yeah, they're always there the week before us, and we follow. And I have like Bob at Sunset Ridge MX. He goes down for that whole bike, the amateur racing, and he's actually stayed before and helped out a little bit with ours. But I think he's getting to the point where he doesn't want to be down there for 2.5 weeks straight.
I get it. As you get older or you have more responsibilities, you don't want to spend as much time away. You've traveled. Sure. You've been traveling for a number of years yourself. Does it ever weigh on you?
Oh yeah. There's times where you're just ready to get back home, and I guess like the biggest thing, like, you've been going to these tracks for so long that there's not like huge changes that happen to these tracks. So usually sometimes like for us, ours is a 1-day program, so we usually roll in on Thursday night, Friday, and do our racing on Saturday. And sometimes we hit the road on Saturday night if it's a long drive back home, or if it's closer, we'll hang around for Sunday.
Do you miss the pro sport or the pro stock?
Yeah, I do. It gave me a good reason to stay and race on Sunday, and it was a more laid back day where you could, mix it up, like talk with a lot of the riders that are there and get to know them a little bit better, because basically the time that I get there to the time that I race, it's kind of like it's a buildup of like the business that you want to try and take care of that weekend, and your focus has to be on, and you can't be out, just kind of messing around. You want to take care of yourself and make sure you're hydrated well, and not overdoing yourself by running around too much, and focus on what you want to do.
Is it harder to stay hydrated in a cold situation or a hot situation?
I think definitely hot, just because it seems like for me, it's harder for me to my body to absorb the fluids than it is to get it in. I have no problem getting it in. So it's like I'll drink something and it feels like, 20 minutes later, you're already getting rid of it, because I sweat so much and everything like that. So it's definitely harder with it being hotter for sure.
Do you know what the weather's going to be like overseas?
They they give you an average projection, but they say the lows are in the 50s. I guess not the lows in the 50s, but the average highest low is 50 degrees, and the average high is 70. So it should be pretty good weather for us. And I think being in September, I think we're about 2 weeks earlier than maybe we did 2 years ago, 3 years ago, last time we were there, 2019. We were in October when we raced instead of being in September. So I think that helps a lot with us being a little bit earlier, where hopefully our climate won't be as cold.
Because if it's super cold, it's got to make it hard on you guys.
Yeah, and the container that we ship over there, that's kind of basically our motorhome as well. That's where we get dressed inside. And I remember in Germany, that thing felt like an ice chest. The floor, when you walked on it with your shoes, your feet were freezing, and it was quite an experience, especially early morning, for our practices and stuff like that. It felt like it stayed cold till midday and past. It was if somebody, I know, for instance, Thomas Brown, he's not a big cold person. He does not like the cold, and he's kind of a wuss when it comes to cold. And it was he was wearing jackets and he was bundled up like it was snowing outside. So quite funny.
I'm not a fan of the cold either, but if you got to deal with it, you got to deal with it.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's talk a little 2022. I know that we spoke earlier in the year, I think it was a little before Midway. You came off some wins there in the middle of the season, looking real strong. And where did it go from there for you?
Man, honestly, we had a nice string of wins towards mid-season on. I won 4 out of the 6 races from basically the mid-season on. So definitely that was strong. Yeah, I had no complaints in my riding. I was riding really well, getting very good starts. And the competition was there. Joel, he rode consistently where he was able to not have bad races and not put himself into a hole. And that's kind of what I needed at the point that I was at. I wouldn't say I gave away, but I lost a lot of points early on in the season that put me into a pretty big deficit. And, I just try to dig myself out of that. And, we won a lot of races, but we also split a lot of motos where he would go 1 and 2 and I would go, 2-1 for an overall. So I wasn't gaining anything at those events, but all in all, a really good year. Yeah, I didn't win the championship, but honestly, like my riding was really good, and we started to string together a lot of wins and healthy. I so I'm just gonna try and go off of that, and hang my head high on the effort that we gave.
Is there something that changed mid-season for you?
Like, yeah, we've been doing like testing like throughout the whole year, just trying to get like suspension where I want it, and like we made some changes to like our front end setup and our rear end setup. So we were trying to find that balance where I liked everything in the balance on the machine. And once we got that, like I wouldn't even say Ironman, like we were getting close, but like at Walnut, it was round 6, I believe, or somewhere in there. But once we got there, like I found a lot of comfort on the machine and riding like to my ability. And ever since then, we've been able to challenge, for wins every single weekend, and things were clicking. And like for me going into this off season, I don't have any projected plans to change anything on my chassis, so it'll be kind of transfer over to a good setting for next year.
So talking about that just briefly before we get into that conversation, do you take the bike that you rode at the last race and dissect it so that when you build your Daytona bike or your first outdoor bike, are those the settings you start with?
Yeah, like that's something that I like. I try to base myself off of that, where let's say like you do a lot of your training in Florida, like the dirt from up here in the Midwest down to Florida, it's quite a big change. So you got to make a couple adjustments, but the biggest thing is that you try not to shy too far away from it where you get yourself lost and start trying to like wandering and trying to find something that maybe you just need to stay closer to your base setting that has brought you success.
I know that the NASCAR guys, they have a portfolio on each race, and they go back and they set the car what it was last year, especially if it was a successful race or what they learned. Do you have the same type of setup where you going into each facility what your setup is going to be?
Yeah. Like we take a lot of notes on what our settings are between, like, I mean, everything that you could possibly, put down, like your camber caster adjustments, your ride height, your shock valving setups, your clickers, of course, tire pressure, tire ball pressure, like all that goes into like my notes that I keep. I've been keeping since 2012. So it sometimes I'll roll a couple pages back and look at like older settings that, let's say if I feel the same thing and then we made a change, that I'm able to like jump on that and be like, this worked the last time we were here, let's try this, and we're not just shooting in the dark at times.
That's really good. I was talking to Joe one day, Joe Bird, and he started reading me some pages when he had came back from the races, way back. And it was just kind of funny that the way that he had worded certain things and some of the notes that he did take were pretty good. I mean, I thought that's got to be the best way to do it.
Oh, for sure. And I keep like a training like diary, and then also like training on the machine, like also like with that, like when I'm out like testing and making changes, I make sure that I document all that stuff as well.
Do you keep the same dietary notes as you do machine notes?
Yeah, I definitely do. Like where Because I mean, every day, like you could go to one track and the one day, and then go to the same track again, and the conditions can be different. You know, it can be hard, like harder and slick, and deeper. You know, ruts, and so it's no like two tracks are necessarily going to be the same, but you're going to be able to be like, all right, this is a similar dirt to where I was practicing at. I can kind of give myself a base point with this, and kind of just roll with that, and then make adjustments, you know, from there. Because for us, we only have the 2-time qualifying practices on the track, so you kind of got to nail it pretty close to like right away, so that you're not wasting your time qualifying, trying to set up your machine from being too far away from your setting.
You commented a little bit back in our conversation that you you weren't as comfortable as you would like to have been at the beginning of the year. Do you have a specific reason why that happened?
Yes. I mean, like we changed we changed our front end a little bit this year, and then um we were having like some inconsistency with like our tires, where um we would get them to, they're like, we would have them set, like for instance, I'll just shoot you a number. The rear tire measured at 55 inches around, and by the end of the weekend we could have had 57 and a half to 58 inches. Like it would grow that much. So like with that, like with it growing that much, it's going to throw your ride height off, and like the amount of rake that you have on the front end. So I noticed a lot of places like that I went, especially sandier tracks, where the rake would get too low, and I couldn't get enough weight to the back of the machine to keep the front end up. And I would be when that happens for me, it makes me want to sit instead of be standing, because when I'm standing, it feel like I'm falling over the front of the machine. I'm really having to use a lot of energy to keep myself back. So that's what I noticed. Like Daytona was Daytona. I think that was just one of those tracks. But like at Texas, like I had really good speed, but I couldn't keep that speed very long because of how hard I was having to work with, with that difference and that change that the tires were growing. And also, just maybe my fitness wasn't as good as I thought it was as well.
Really?
I mean,
I
definitely
find that hard to believe.
yeah. I mean, it definitely could have been, because let's say I could ride that intensity like early on for quite like, let's say like 15 minutes, but I couldn't finish it all the way to the 24-minute mark or something. I mean, that very well could have been it. But also, like, let's say your machine and yourself are like gelling well together, and you can ride like that intensity as long as you want. Like, that's a tribute to your machine's working well, and it's not making you strain more than you have to ride it fast. Because I think anybody can ride a machine pretty fast for a certain amount of time, but to be able to do that for consistently for 24 minutes sprints, and like it's a different story to be able to do that.
That brings me to this. Do you notice are you noticing that you need to train a little differently? I hate to bring this up because you're still young. You are young, even though you're older than most of the guys you race with. Do you notice that you're having to modify some of your training to adapt to the older age?
Oh yeah, for sure. Like, let's say when I was in my 20s, like I could ride all the time. I could take off and go cycle. I could do that. Let's say I would wake up in the morning. I would go for like a 15-minute warm up run, and then I would come back and we'd do motos, and then after that I could take off on a bicycle. Like these days, I don't do that because I feel like it's going to put me into like a hole that maybe it's going to hurt me more than it is going to help me.
Recovery time.
Recovery wise.
Wow. I mean, I guess I get it because I am older, and when I push through on a project longer than I would normally do. You know, everybody has their work hour days. You know, you have a 6 or an 8 hour day when you're working through a specific project. I know now if I push it to 12 hours on that next day, half that day I'm junk.
Yep. Yeah. And like I modify like my training as well for the 1 day format where I will put in like a day that's like, you're on the machine for an hour and a half to 2 hours, like at like run time on the machine. Like that's what our pro day is like. So I try to put in that and then plus some, because that's how you kind of get your endurance and your baseline, where if you go out and do like a little bit less or just enough, when you put that extra stress that it puts on your body being around all those other guys, and you got to be able to go just a little bit longer for that extra little bit of edge at the end of the day.
For the younger riders, how much stress is it from practice day, just like at your normal practice track, to race day? How much difference is there in your heart rate, in the stress that goes through your body and through your mind? How much difference is it?
I don't think like let's say it depends on the day, obviously, like, but if you get like a day where it's 90-degree heat and humidity here, like, yeah, it's a high stress, it's like a race day type feel. But there's nothing that replicates like the pressure and not even anxiety, but like just the main pressure that you feel like rolling up to the gate and racing against the other guys and going into the whole shot. Like, you can't replicate that, but you try to like mimic it as close as you can. But like leaving like some races I feel like it's a practice day when I leave. Like I'm pretty fresh. I'm not totally beat down, but you can go to these other tracks where you're leaving, you're sore, and you're kind of kind of faded a little bit. But honestly, there's never quite a practice day that can mimic what you go through on race day.
That's kind of the answer I was looking for, is just so that everybody understands that you can train super hard, but there are extenuating circumstances when you go to the gate.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Let me ask you a fun question. When you started, the butterflies, the excitement, the thrill of going to the race and being on the gate, do you still have that today?
I would say like once I get there, yes. Like I still get like the excitement, the nerves and all that, but I'm able like to control them, where like I could tell you, obviously, like, back in the day, like you could be sitting there just shaking, like you're so like amped up, excited or nervous or, anything to do with that. But like rolling up to the gate, like I'm pretty calm, like rolling up to the gate. Like, yes, like you're excited, but I'm like able to, like, I could probably almost take a nap sometimes. I'm up there on the gate where like I'm just kind of relaxed. But like, if you sit there too long, where like everything can build, yes, like you'll start to feel that for sure. But I'm able to control them pretty well these days.
Well, yeah, you've been doing it a while, so you've had those epic battles and know how to deal with the stress of racing. That's pretty awesome stuff. When the gate drops, from the gate drop to the first turn, how much emotion is involved in that time frame?
Actually, I don't feel a thing, honestly. You're just the focus that you have, and you're trying to get an edge on the guy next to you, and it's almost I feel like it's slow motion, where I think that's what happens to like a lot of these like younger classes or anything, or like not as experienced classes, where like for us, like, yeah, we're going really fast, but I feel like I'm able to see it almost like I'm going slow, where I can make decisions on the fly that, let's say I'm getting closed down, like I'm not gonna stay on the gas and try and make a kamikaze move where I'm gonna end up on my head, where I bet you if I was, you know, 12, 15 years ago, I might have held it on and it might not have panned out. So like I'm able to make really good decisions, in that time frame. Like how long's a hole shot? Maybe, like 3 seconds, 4 seconds or something.
Right.
Unless on, it's like a minute.
Unless you're where?
Glen Helen, it's like a minute long.
Yeah, that's a long straightaway.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I was looking for, as far as, after you make that first turn, do you start making your strategy? Because I know the strategy that you have going into the race, but once you around that first turn, your mind starts working on the things that you need to do and where you need to be.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I'm definitely like picking out like what I have to do. Like for instance, let's go to like Pleasure Valley, where I got both hole shots. Like I just tried to sprint out as fast as I could and as hard as I could right away. Where, let's say it's the same thing. Like if I get into like, like 4th or 5th off the start, yes, I'm putting in a sprint, but you can only go as fast as the guy in front of you, and you can't follow him everywhere. You're not going to be able to get around him. So I'm thinking ahead, be like, this line's going to be good if I get a run on him there. Like, let's try to not follow him, but let's not give up spots trying to make these attempts, because you want to make as many of those spots up as quickly as you can in the first lap before people settle into like their lines. They get separated a little bit more. So like you got to try and make your moves early, especially if you're dropped in the field a little bit.
Fortunately, that doesn't happen all that often to you, so that's good. Let me ask you a question. You've been a mentor for more than just one guy, but the one guy in particular, Max Lindquist.
Yep.
His progress is good. He's fast.
Yeah, he really is.
He gives you very high praise when you speak to him. Do you like teaching?
I do, especially like I look at Max and I see like I said, I see a little bit of myself, his work ethic, his like being humble, and just kind of like let your results talk, for what they are, and I like that. And for him, like I want to give that the extra push for him, because I feel like he's like he's going to be the future of the class, where when I step out, hopefully he steps into being that guy that's going to battle for that top spot. And just because I've been able to get to know him and know what he's all about, and I have no problem giving him advice and give him the extra push.
Let's just say we're 2024 and Chad Wienen's decided that he doesn't want to race anymore. I'm not saying you're going to make that decision. Could you ever see yourself in the team owner role and having 2 guys under your tent?
Yes and no. Like, let's say for that, like I would like to be almost like a rider coach or something like that.
Or a team owner where you own the setup and
yeah,
2 riders are sponsored.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that's like definitely not out of the question. I think the biggest thing, if I ever like when I stop racing, I'm going to want to chase after my kids and be a big part of their life instead of them chasing after me everywhere. So I think it'd be hard for me to be like, I want to be a team owner and travel everywhere with everybody and leave my family or drag them with me. So that's the only reason that keeps me from being like, yes, that's something that I would want to do. Maybe I would do that after my kids grow up a little bit more, but I really don't see that being the way I want to go when I'm done. But I still see myself being a part of like the racing, and like it could be where like I keep my same sponsorship team and bring a rider in and be like, hey, here's the platform. This is it. I'll come to a couple races here and there, give them the best platform to be like, this is a successful program. This is how you do it. Now go race, and do that.
And just mentor them and teach them along the way.
Yep.
Would you control the bikes?
If I could, yes. It had to, for instance, like the machines would have to come back here to me. I'm not gonna like travel to go and do this, just because of that aspect that I said. But I think that's a big part of like my success is that like my hands on the machines and keeping them where they need to be racing on Saturday at the top spot.
That's a good angle for some of the younger riders, I think, that could see themselves being mentored by you and riding a machine that you had control of. So all they had to do is test with you and set the bike basically. Their mechanic, your mechanic can reach out during the weekend if need be and go to the races and take care of business. That would be a sweet setup.
Yeah, I think that's something that'd be definitely possible. Obviously, it'd have to be the right rider combo. Like I could see, in a perfect world, I would pick Max to be that.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a matter of for him, it's got to make sense for everybody.
Well, right, yeah. There are all contributing factors to everything when you break that down. You talked about your kids. Do you see your kids, or would you want your children to follow in your footsteps in racing?
That's a difficult question, but like, yes, I would. For my son, I want him to experience riding and being on a four-wheeler because I know how much joy that brings me, and then see where that goes. One, I don't want to ever push my son or my daughter in a direction that it's, my dream. I want it to be what they choose to do and not give them any sort of pressure from me, and let it be natural for them and let it be fun for them. And like, I don't want it to be like, yes, I want my son to race and I want him to race under my name and what I've been able to accomplish and put that extra pressure on him, because I don't think that's healthy.
Yeah, my son had some issues when he raced. Doug Eichner was the guy sitting there with the number one plate and under that tent, and I'm working on that machine, and everybody expected my son to go out and ride like Doug. It was never going to happen. Wasn't fair.
Yeah, no, and I can see that, being, a problem. I just want them to choose their own path, and I'm willing to chase them wherever that goes.
That's good. I like the plan that you're talking about. I wish that I would have changed a few things, but I was chasing my dream at the races when my kids were little, and I've never stopped. So it's awesome that you're thinking about that. When we start preparing for 2023, have they dropped a schedule yet?
No, there's not a set schedule just yet. I would say you're probably looking at sometime maybe late October, early November is when they'll probably drop it.
Right.
And
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
And our banquet is,
The
I
8th.
think, mid-October, I believe.
I think it's the 8th of October.
Yeah. So I'm sure usually they try to get it done so they release it at the banquet, but I think that's I don't know if that's gonna quite happen.
Yeah, I'm trying to make it out there for the banquet. I've been talking to Mr. Osborne and trying to trying to get Jeremy. Jeremy called me and asked me about it, or texted me and asked me about it, and yeah, I'd love to work that out. I would love to come and visit with everybody and talk. It's just, travel right now is just so expensive. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Hey, I want to. Yeah, Yeah, I mean, you know better than I do. I mean, your bill for travel this year probably was ungodly expensive.
Yeah, definitely over about twice as much as what it used to be. So, yeah.
Ouch. We covered the pro stock class briefly, and I've talked to all the amateur riders that I've talked to, or the pro sport guys, or the pro am riders. They've all said that they would love to see that come back. Is there somebody, or is there a way to get enough riders together to maybe petition whoever runs the series to bring that back? Do you think that is any way possible to ever get it to happen again?
Yeah, I mean, I strongly do believe that it is, if there is enough of an interest. And every year it was growing, and so it was trending in the right direction. Maybe it wasn't growing as fast as they wanted it to.
I think something like that, it has to take time to build.
Yeah, and I think it's one of those things where it's going to be a lot of riders that come and go, because maybe it's past riders that want to come and race, but they don't want to spend, the big money to go racing at, the modified level. So you're going to have guys like Jacob Stevens is a guy, for instance, like he took some time away. He got a stock bike and he came and rode the stock class. And then all of a sudden he's going and modifying his machine. So he's moving away from that class to a modified class. So it got him back into racing. Maybe it rekindled his love for racing. And, so you're going to have guys like that they'll come in, they'll be at that step, and then they'll step again to a modified class. So there's nothing negative about that class, because you're bringing riders back into racing, and maybe they're just beginners or they're experienced riders.
How about the preparation for the incoming pros that got to race with you for a season or 2 seasons in the pro stock class before they rolled out to the line? Max said that schooling that he got was you couldn't put a price on it.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I thought that was like one of our goals, where riders weren't just thrown to the bulls, and when they make the jump to pro class, because it's a big jump. Let's admit it, like a lot of those riders that are coming out of pro-am, they're used to having success, and they might not ever have success again when they go to pro class. Like they might end there. So that makes it not fun. Where let's say you go to pro stock class, you get a good start. Like Mike Allred, the last race that we ever did on pro stock, he won it. And that's like, it's very easily something that could happen. So and you're learning that experience from, non-high budget level.
Yeah, it would be a great deal if there was a Suzuki and a Honda out there with a stock machine running it. That would be a great deal.
Yeah, for sure.
I almost would enjoy that, just because the the field is level. Now it's the rider pushing that machine to levels that maybe they didn't think that it could jump that jump, or it rails the corner faster with his specific style. And, it's all coming down to, you're on the same bike. So if that guy beats you, it's because maybe you wanted it a little more.
Yeah, maybe he's riding a little better. So
yeah, I mean, you guys at your level ride so well as it is. It's splitting hairs basically. Yeah, I mean, there was no real dominance in that class, was there?
I mean, like, I won a lot of races on the stock machine, but it wasn't necessarily because of just had a really good feel on a stock machine. And let's say, for instance, like Joel, when he did it the last year that we had it, like I definitely ripped more hole shots than he did, and it should be the other way around, where like the power to weight ratio is quite a bit different. But like, I had a lot of time riding that stock machine where I knew how the clutch worked. I had my start styled on it. Like, it's quite a bit. It's easier for me. Like, I just drop the clutch and kind of go on a stock machine, but you don't do that on a modified 450. You just don't drop the clutch, and you're either going to burn the tires off or you're going to flip the thing over. So,
yeah, I get it. I get it. That's a lot of fun. See, there's a rivalry there, but there's fun.
Yeah.
You're having a good time out there at the same time. It breaks some of the monotony of the pressure of running in the pro class.
Yeah, for sure. And like, yes, you want to win, but like, like when I was out there racing with Thomas, like if he was in front of me, I'd be out there like yelling at him in the turns because of how quiet the machines were. Like, just kind of like fun, a lot of fun, like being able to do that. And like, we come to the next turn and I could hear him yelling at me, like when we we're coming to the turn. So
that's
like, yeah, it's very light.
That's the fact that you could have some fun at it. That makes it even better. It means that the class should come back, just so that I think the fans, the spectators also loved it.
Yeah, definitely.
They get to see you guys ride more, because every time, I only got to go to one race this year, but every time you guys were on the track, everybody was on the fence. Everybody, every second, the unless they were getting ready to get in the gate because they were the next moto, they were on the fence watching, and maybe got a line, or how do I get through this section, or how do I do this? So getting you guys out there more is better, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
So
I do agree.
Future next year. Any big changes, or is it just going to be the same? I know you can't let the cat out of the bag, and you got this secret over here, that secret over here. Anything changing at all that's going to be significant?
If I told you yes, I'd probably be lying. But like, at this point, like, we're pretty early into like our preparations for next year, but machine wise, I don't plan to change much of anything, just because I found a lot of comfort towards the mid part and end part of the season, and I want to try and continue that and not change things where I'm still like sniffing around for my setup. So I feel like there could be a good possibility that next year could be my last year. I honestly, I don't know if I'll even decide until the year's done. Like, I might not be like, yes, this is going to be my last year, but I just want to go out and give everything I got to continue, continue what I've been able to do for, since 2012 with Yamaha, and trying to go out there and compete and win. And I still have a lot of love for it. I always get to the end of the season where the grind is so hard, where you're like, man, like this is a lot of work. I don't know how much longer I want to do it, but I do know after this season, like coming home, that drive home, like I'm kind of like chomping at the bit where I want to get back on the gate, like very soon, and go racing and try to win another championship and maybe go out on top that way. Who knows? So, or I might be like, I still got more in the tank, and it's a decision that I'll have to make like later on down the road. But I'm having a lot of fun, and my wife and I, like, we're on the same page of what our plans are, with our children at this moment, and it is enough for me to continue racing. So it's just one of those things. At the end of the day, if I go home from the last round and I finish second, and I really don't care about finishing second, then maybe it's time for me to be like, it's been good, But this year coming back, I cared quite a bit about it, so it makes me hungry to get back to work.
That's good to hear that you have the desire, and you still have the love for the sport. I like hearing that. It makes me feel good.
Definitely.
The old school guys like you, you're the last of the old guard, and we're going to be sad when that day does come. I'm not taking anything away from Joel or any of the other kids, but there was a way things were done in a more of an iron will style of person, and you're that kind of guy that just forges through, fire, snow, whatever it is. The wall's still there, and I'm going through it, so get out of the way. And
yeah, thank you for that, Leonard. I'll keep doing that till the day I'm done racing.
Well, you stay strong and keep working hard. Let's have a little fun here. Outdoor motocross. Have you been keeping up on it?
Yes, I have.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who's going to pull it off? Sexton or Tomac?
Man, oh man. Like, I just have that feeling that ever since I seen Sexton beat Tomac at Washougal, I just have that feeling that Sexton has something going on right now. And like I feel like Sexton has him on the ropes a little bit. But Tomac showed like this weekend, that first moto, that he was not going to lay down for getting beat. So, like, in my mind, all I got to do is win one moto and finish second the next. So that'd be my game plan for Eli. But like being Sexton, being an Illinois resident, like I am, been born and raised here, it's I'm kind of partial to him to get it done.
Well, that's a contradiction there. We'll make sure to cut that out so Donnie doesn't hear it.
Yeah, I mean, it's nothing. Like, honestly, like, I just want to see these guys battle it out and let the best man win. And like, I'm actually like, I'm a little bit of a Tomac fan, but I got to be strong for my guys. And Chase used to ride Yamaha when he was younger, so it's not saying that he won't ever come back home.
Well, there's a meme on social media with his number on a KTM.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
I was like, what? I mean, I don't know how long his deal is with Honda. I don't follow it that close. But
Yeah,
have you looked at the 250 class at all?
I have. Yeah, yeah.
The young man that rides the Kawasaki, I can't pronounce his name.
Moda.
Yeah, that guy's that guy's on fire.
Yeah, he's getting it together this year. Like he's a different rider from what he's ever been. He's got like confidence and a strong will and not giving up. And you need that. You know, you got to be short term memory. You get beat one moto, you got to be like, I'll get him the next one. You know, like be ready to go battle again.
And Cooper,
Yeah,
guy has had motos where he just flat destroys them, and then the next moto, or either the first moto he wasn't there, and in the second moto he destroys them. You think that's inconsistency in the machine or the rider?
man. Like I said, like when you're comfortable, like you can ride as fast as you want, as long as you want. If there's something a little bit off, like it can mess with you quite a bit. And I feel like that plays a big factor in the way his results are. Is if he's feeling it and him and the machine are one, he's going to be like very hard to beat. But you'll see like weirdo rides where maybe starts up front and he just slowly fades back that he's not comfortable. So yeah, like a lot of like I'm one that like yes, if the machine's off a little bit, like maybe I'm not going to win, but I'm not going to be, you know, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, you know, like that. Like I'm getting on the podium for sure.
You have also enough time in the saddle that you can make up for some of the deficiencies with the way that you ride the machine, correct?
Yeah, for sure. And you got to learn how to ride the machine the way that it is. And if it's not working a certain way, you need to change the way you're riding it a little bit to try and make it work.
That's the old school mentality versus the young guys now that come out and, oh, it's not perfect.
Yeah.
Not going to be perfect every time.
No.
I mean, you came from days back when, yeah, the machine was way off and you still
Right.
ride it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I like, you know, I'm partial to Eichner, you know, because I spent so much time with him. But I love that guy because even when the bike was off, yeah, he'd come off and tell you it was off, but you couldn't tell it in his lap times because he just adapted so well to the different combinations. It was unbelievable. Or different machines. I mean, it didn't matter what we put him on. He just rode it.
Yeah, just ride it. You know, don't look too much into it. Just ride it.
Yeah, stop overthinking it. Do you follow any other kind of motorsports?
Yeah, like I follow like Formula One, MXGP. I didn't watch I was gone this weekend, so I caught up on outdoor motocross a little bit, like about halfway. But I haven't seen like the Formula One race or if they had an MXGP. I don't know if they have one this weekend or not.
I don't know. I don't follow the MX. I like MotoGP, road race guys, and they didn't have a race this weekend. I'm a huge Marc Marquez fan.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that guy's just so talented.
Yeah.
He's coming back. They showed him with his arm, you know, before he went to get his surgery, he couldn't lift his arm that high, and he full motions back, strength came back almost immediately. I don't know what was wrong with it and what they had to do, but whatever they did, they made it work.
Yeah. Yeah. I haven't caught up with. I haven't added that to my arsenal of things to keep up with, but I know it's pretty gnarly stuff there.
I'm an F1 fan. My dad and I like to sit and watch it. We haven't watched the race yet. Unfortunately, I know the results. I hate that the app on your phone pops it up, you know, in the middle of the day, and you just naturally look. I didn't want to see it.
Yeah. I know.
Yeah, and you catch articles, things like that. But yeah, I like it. I wish Mercedes was doing a little better this year, but it is,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah. At least you got somebody, at least two manufacturers racing out front, and not just a one manufacturer runaway.
Well, Alonso in that car that's not even supposed to compete, he's trying to frickin' put it up in the front.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I thought that guy was washed up and nobody.
He's like what you say, like that older generation, like, and he's still got a ton of hunger in him, and it's uh like very cool to see that, you know. And it sounds like he wants to come back and race again next year, so it's not it's not over for him yet either.
No, when you're feisty and you're aggressive about it, and when something happens and there's a little friction on the track, and you're engaged with it, yeah,
Yeah,
you're still the guy. You're still in it, and he's
yeah,
so just like you are. I mean, you have a little fire. I could see a little twinge on your face when you talked about the drive home, and
yeah,
that's good. I mean,
yeah.
if you don't have that burr in your side, because things didn't work out the way you felt they should have, then maybe you do need to
Yeah.
go a different way. I would never say retire, because that's Johnny Gallagher just announced on not last week's, but the week before, Instagram, that he was no longer going to points race in XC1.
Mm-hmm.
And he's been around for almost 30 years.
Yeah. Yeah. Old as dirt, you know.
Yeah. I mean, and maybe he wasn't winning titles, but still he was showing up, he was racing, he was part of it.
John is the best form of a rider that didn't have a ton of success, but the way that he works and his drive, that he was able to race professionally for that long and make a living out of it. Like you have, nobody in, let's say, like motocross that can relate to Johnny. Like Johnny's, I can't tell you how long he's been racing professionally, but I bet it's close to 25 years, I bet, or 20 years.
Over 25.
Yeah.
It's heading really close to 80.
Yeah. And he got his first race win, what was it, 4 or 5 years ago?
Right.
Like that's incredible.
It is. So let me ask you this. If somebody proposed a package for you to come and bring you to the West Coast and put you on a machine to race in the desert, would you do it?
Let's say if I was a show up and race kind of thing, yes, I would definitely like be opposed. I'd be like about discussing that for sure.
Well, we had that conversation on the live Instagram show, and your name came up, and Johnny's name came up, and Walker Fowler's name came up. So, and Walker was on the podcast too. So we were thinking about you when we were talking about building the Raptor 700 to go race Vegas to Reno.
Oh yeah. Yeah, like I enjoyed doing like Pontevo and stuff like that. When I did that the one year, we've been planning to go back. So that is a lot of fun to me, just different style of racing. And I was able to adapt to it pretty quick, where like it was a lot of fun. We had a great time, and I'm all about like doing different things. And I'm also like, let's say I am done racing and like it'd be cool to travel Europe. Maybe I would go and link up with somebody there, and I would race a couple races in Europe and travel and get to see the world there. So like that, maybe like when I'm done racing professionally here, that maybe it's something that I would go and do there, because like I feel like that's something that would be fun, and it wouldn't be Well, I'm not taking anything away from the riders over there, but it's different, and it's going to be different if I go there and race, and it's not going to be like I have to go over there and win and perform at my best level. It's going to be enjoy my time there, try to win, and spend time with family while we're there. So
Exactly. Well, keeping the door open for the multiple different things that could come your way would be awesome. I'm hoping that Johnny and I get to have those conversations, because I would love to build a Raptor 700 to bring you guys out and have you ride.
Oh yeah, that'd be fun.
Oh, dude, it'd be my honor to build a machine like that and have you and Walker and Johnny ride it, and just to get you to feel one of my machines, and
Oh yeah,
have you ride one of my bikes would be an honor. It really would.
for sure.
But hey, I know you got some things that you got to take care of tonight, and I appreciate you fitting me in your schedule. 2023 is going to be a big deal. I expect that you and I will talk right before the season drops, and we're going to have this will come out after the live, but we'll be doing a live on Instagram here tomorrow, and we'll be talking Team USA.
Yeah, we're looking forward to that, and definitely whenever you're ready to talk about 23 and maybe get like a little bit of time on the machine in the preseason, and we'll catch up again.
Yes, sir. I'd appreciate that. Thanks again, Chad.
The team here at ATV-TALK would love your feedback. Please email us at hello@atvtalkpodcast.com.
Thank you for listening. We hope you enjoyed the episode. If you did, don't forget to rate us on all available platforms and share us with your loved ones. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook for more ATV Talk news. See you next time.